struck out on your own as a relatively young lawyer. What was that like? Were you crazy to do that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely nuts. And I recommend everyone to do it. There aren't that many law firms out there that want to go to trial, fewer that are willing to go to trial, and even fewer that actually go to trial. If you do this here and we catch you, we are going to punish you.
Welcome back. Another episode of Courtside Convo. I'm Dan Doskey from Legal Graphic Works, and joining me today is Tim Felice. He is the Felice and Felice Trial Attorneys, an attorney for more than 20 years. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dan. I appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about your career. 20 years is a long time to be a lawyer.
It is.
What have you accomplished in that time?
Whole lot of sleepless nights.
Right.
Yeah, now I started off, like I said, it's going on, it'd be 21 years this year. Started off in the defense world. I clerked actually for Liberty Mutual Group in law school. Did that for about 2 years down in Boca. Then I clerked for a plaintiff's firm for about a year or so, right when I was finishing school. Then got my license and started at a large defense firm doing workers' compensation defense.
But pretty soon after that, you struck out on your own as a relatively young lawyer. What was that like? Were you crazy to do that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely nuts. And I recommend everyone to do it. It was hard. There really were sleepless nights. I did have a couple of partners. We tried to make do with what we had. And especially coming from the defense world, opening up a plaintiff's practice with no cases was not easy the first couple of years, but it was the best decision I ever made.
So how did you get it going, keep it going at that point?
Wow, it was hard. It was a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights. And, I had developed a lot of relationships with defense lawyers and claimant lawyers at the time and plaintiffs lawyers. So I would reach out to them if I had questions. I was lucky enough to have a lot of them refer me cases, overflow cases or conflict cases, things that they couldn't handle or didn't want to handle. We practiced door law in my office.
What does that mean?
Anything walks in the door, we said yes to. I actually took on, as a 2.5, 3-year lawyer, took on a patent infringement case against Nike, the NFL, the NBA, Under Armour, Adidas, almost everybody for shooting sleeves. Do you ever see like the basketball players have the sleeves on their arms?
Sure.
Well, I have a client who had the patent for it. He actually sent Allen Iverson his first pair of sleeves and then sent them to Nike and said, "Hey, I got a patent. You want to license them?" They're like, "Yeah, now we're good." And then, of course, they've been making them ever since. So I, as a young lawyer, I actually got involved in litigation against these massive companies. It was fun.
Wow. And how did that work out?
It was difficult, and I had to bring in other attorneys that handled patent work, so I got to learn from some of the best. We ended up resolving every case. All of them were confidential, but
it worked out.
It worked out. Yeah. It worked out for Fred in the end. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the work that you do now, plaintiff's work, it's a very competitive type of law practice, especially down here where we are in South Florida. So how do you stand out, and what are the cases that make sense for you? You're not practicing door law anymore.
No, we don't practice door law anymore. We do take all forms of injury law cases on with a focus on trial. There aren't that many law firms out there that want to go to trial, fewer that are willing to go to trial, and even fewer that actually go to trial. So we're one of the few firms around where I don't refer the case out. I was just in mediation just an hour ago, and my mediation, what I said to him was, "We're never going to accept your money. We're going to go to trial." So we do a lot of that, and we're a very small office. There's only 3 other lawyers. 2 work here. 1 is in California. We carry a small caseload, where a lot of law firms have their lawyers handling, an individual lawyer handling 100+ cases. We manage about 80 cases in litigation total for 3 lawyers to practice And then the other lawyer that works with us, Dorothy Sims, she comes in and assists with expert stuff.
So what's the, the challenge there just to keep everything moving, I guess rapidly enough to keep the lights on?
Yeah, that is difficult. So we do handle pre-suit cases, but we're predominantly a litigation-driven firm. So we try to get the cases to trial as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, that's not always easy in the state of Florida, really any other state. But and with COVID, I mean, we've got cases that have gotten backed up. I'm trying a case in September where it was filed by another lawyer in 2016. So it's difficult, but we get them in. We don't like to wait to file suit, and we try to oppose continuances. We try to get in front of the jury as quickly as we possibly can.
Yeah. So I know one of the big cases, and I know you can't tell us all the details, is still on appeal, but a huge verdict up in the Florida Panhandle, Big Bend area. Can you tell me a little bit about that case?
I can. Like it is on appeal. It's a case that we took over, I think it was 2019, and the defendant in the case was a truck driver, and he was drunk. He pulled out in front of our client on the highway in the middle of the night. She swerves, ends up clipping the back of the truck. She spins and rolls. Devastating crash. Her passenger died. She's had significant orthopedic injuries. We litigated that case against the drunk driver and against the corporation. It's in Suwannee County, Florida. Very conservative area.
Live Oak, yeah.
Exactly. That's where we were in the Live Oak Courthouse.
Yes. Been there.
Unbelievably beautiful courthouse.
Yes, yeah.
It's about I think it's 105 or 10 years old now. It was beautiful. And the judge was incredible. Actually, everybody in the whole town was fantastic. We were there for 2 weeks. So we put the case on. Our client had a mild traumatic brain injury. She had orthopedic injuries and surgery, but she did still work full time, and she was able to still walk and talk. She was a singer, or is a singer, a professional musician that played every instrument. Now she can't. Now she's lower in what she's able to do when it comes to singing. She can't play the guitar. She can't play the drums. She can't play anything else she used to. But it was a really, really sad story, because this happened when they were coming back from where was it? Louisiana. They had gone out there to go see Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
They were driving back to Georgia. They lived in Georgia, and they were going through Suwannee in Live Oak. So when this happened, they didn't immediately arrest the drunk driver. They did send him for blood work, but they didn't arrest him for a couple of weeks. But the news reports were saying that there was a drunk driver, and then a couple weeks later charges were pending, and they never said who the drunk driver was. So for years, even right up until just a few months before our trial, which was 8 years after the crash, people would still go up to my client and accuse her of being the murderer. You're a murderer. You're a drunk driver. Even though there had been a criminal trial for the drunk driver, truck driver, and he's sitting in prison for 15 years. She's lived with that stigma and people believing she's the one that caused her best friend's death. So there were a lot of components to it. Trial was fun. It was, like I said, it was 2 weeks long. We tried it. We actually mistried the case in October, and then we came back to do it last March. It ended April, I think, 11th. And we got 2 verdicts because we had punitive damages involved. And the total verdict, I should say, was $92.3 million.
Now, why were there punitive damages in the case?
Drunk driver. So under Florida law, if someone's driving drunk, you can get them for punitive damages. Normally, you can only get compensatory damages, meaning your economic damages, lost wages, cost of medical bills in the past, loss of future earnings, which we didn't ask for, cost of future medical treatment, or what we call the human losses, non-economic damages. That's pain. Everyone heard of the term pain and suffering. They're 2 different things, but there's lots of those things that went into it. But punitive damages are different. The others are meant to compensate for what's been taken from the person and what they're left with. Punitive damages are to punish the wrongdoer, and not only to punish them, but to send a message all throughout Florida or anywhere else that says, don't do this. If you do this here and we catch you, we are going to punish you. So in this situation, we got the judge to agree to allow us to bring the punitive damages claim against the drunk driver. And there, out of the $92.3 million, $15 million was punitive damages.
So, I mean, just a, long justice delayed, but a great result for your client.
Yeah.
You were telling us earlier, before we started taping, about you being the 7th attorney on a case and where somebody ended up being, quadriplegic. How the heck did that happen?
All right. So I get a phone call from a lawyer I'm very close friends with, and she says that a case was brought into her office with a newer lawyer that came from another firm. And she said, we can't handle this case. It's too much for us. Would you take a look at it? And I said, sure. So I go and I take a look at it. It turns out that she was, I think, the 5th or 6th law firm on the case. So we took it over from her. And it was a shooting case. A client was going home to a house he rented, and kids that were 13 or 14 years old broke into the house. And as he was coming in, they were coming out, and they just shot him. And it ended up going through his chest, and he was an incomplete quadriplegic, meaning he had no ability to use his legs. He had full use of one arm, and he had very limited use of another because the bullet...
All 4 limbs affected,
yeah. And the bullet got lodged in his shoulder. So we get involved in the case, and there was not nearly enough insurance coverage available. Other lawyers had recommended him to take very small money, very small. When we got in, we defeated some motions, and we found evidence no one had ever been able to find. And we were able to show that the property owner may not have been truthful in his testimony about the windows and the locks and everything else. So that ended up being a confidential settlement. I can tell you, I actually just spoke with him, my client, last week. This is going back almost 10 years now. Yeah. That case resolved confidentially, but he will be taken care of, and we don't have to worry about him or his 4 children for the rest of their life.
So, what's there's so many attorneys out there, so much advertising. How do you guys, cut through the noise? You've mentioned a couple of times that referrals are a big, important resource for you.
They are. We take on a lot of cases from other law firms that don't litigate, or law firms that litigate but don't try cases. We do that. I do a lot of teaching. I teach nationally, trial advocacy. We're in the process of finishing up a courtroom. Well, it's been under construction for a while. Yeah. We're almost done.
All right.
So I like to teach people. I was just in California for the 3rd time this year, just last week, teaching people about spine. So I like to help other lawyers get better. So whether they want to refer a case to us, I actually prefer it when they want to litigate with us and they want to learn and they want to see what we do, and we teach them so that they don't have to refer cases out later on and they can rely upon their own skills. So that's one of the biggest things that we do. We help other lawyers. We don't really advertise. So the majority of our cases are from past clients, current clients, friends, family, and the majority of the time, other plaintiffs' lawyers.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate having you on. You guys do a tremendous job, and one of your attorneys is representing my kids who unfortunately got rear-ended on the turnpike.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you joining us, and thank you.
From anytime. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
If you'd like to appear on Courtside Convo, send us an email or visit us at legalgraphicworks.com. Look for new episodes every Thursday on the Legal Graphic Works YouTube channel, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a show. Thanks for watching.